What is up, everybody? Bobby here, the Nintendo Guru. Time for the whole breakdown, the rigmarole, the whole thing we do for the patrons of Patreon. We want to kick it off. We want to thank our Platinum Executive Producer, Cory Hicks, Gold Executive Producer, Sheldon Benedict, Executive Producers, Nick Milicia, James Johnson, Jesse Armstrong, Glauco,
Gentlemen, Executive Producer.
Shut your face. Glauco Schaffer, David Ray, Mike Drummie, Brendan Myers, Joey Hehir, and our newest executive producer, Aaron Doherty. And we also have a new patron, and I totally forgot who it was. So I'm gonna stall for a second here.
Mikhail Trujillo.
There you go. That's who it is.
I'm not even at a computer. That's in my brain.
You're good like that. Well, you're good with names too. I would have totally messed that name up. Anyway, it's time for the Gaming Gurus. What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of the Gaming Gurus. There is a little subtitle, a console war podcast. We're not going to go into all that. We're not going to say all that, everything. It's just basically the Gaming Gurus. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by my best friend in all the land, Toby Thornton. What is up, Toby?
What is up, Bobby? I've just been pooping with my Switch.
Speaking of pooping, what is up to the best, the greatest co-host in all of podcasting, Sean Capri? How are you doing?
I'm glad you said speaking of pooping because I get second billing, which is number two for pooping, Bobby. It all makes sense. Coming to you live from Toronto. I took a red-eye flight last night, Bobby. I've had a couple cups of coffee. I've had a lot of sugar and energy and ready to podcast.
We'll see how long this lasts for.
Ballpark.
We'll see how long this goes for. I'm waiting for any minute Marissa Roberto to come walking up to you and be like, "Hey, Sean."
She doesn't wake up this early.
She's not. Yeah, probably not.
It's a little.
She's
early.
Not far from you though, because she goes to that stadium all the time.
That's true. I may just bump into her. Maybe we'll see. Who knows what's gonna happen on the Gaming Gurus podcast?
This is true. I should DM her right now and be like, "Yo, get over to the Toronto stadium because Sean Capri's there right now podcasting," and then she'll be like, "Who?"
Aww.
Anyway, so here we go. This is our first inaugural episode. We have not changed feeds yet because we don't know if we're going to do that. We're still. I'm going to talk to Dave more about it today, but I didn't want to have to make people resubscribe to a new podcast, so I'm going to try to keep it all here if I can. But we'll know by next week, regardless, what we're doing and that's how it's going. But this is episode 1, and this is the new regime, new style thing that we're doing with the whole Make Us Better stuff. A lot of people were confused last week. I had people messaging me because some people didn't listen to that podcast up to that point yet. We just assumed that they would, and that was bad on our part. We probably should have been a little better. But also, we kind of got a little kink in the flow of things too, because I think if we had done our episode on If We Ran Nintendo on Monday, it would have gotten clearer. But that didn't happen. My condolences to you, Sean, and your family, and all that. For those who don't know, Sean's grandmother had passed away last weekend. So that was a thing. So we pushed that, and I don't know when we're going to actually do that. Have we decided when we're going to do that?
I don't think so, but maybe just sometime. Maybe one day when things are going horribly, horribly wrong with you and Joseph, and you realize that we've made a horrible mistake. I'll come back for a very special episode and remind everybody the greatness that once was, and then be out. I'll just have that as my last one and just make sure everybody comes over to this show.
Well,
because If We Ran Nintendo is surely going to be a hot pile of trash in the summer.
Oh, Bobby. Good God. The thing is that...
And this is the Golden Goose. This is the Gaming Guru's Golden Goose podcast.
The thing is that I will always have you on backup. Ready? Like, if for some reason if Joseph can't do it, like, you're going to be the guy I call to come jump in. But we had a very long run. Almost 2 years, man. 80-something episodes.
We shouldn't have been joking about episode 100 for so much.
I know. We did.
Long.
That used to be a thing we used to always say, like,
it.
when we hit episode 100, we're just shutting it down. And and we didn't even make it to episode 100. So that's a thing. The show itself is and will, but that's neither here nor there.
Can that be my last one? Can you guys just keep it going until episode 100 and then I'll come back?
Yeah, I could do that. I could bring you back for episode 100 because that wouldn't really be. Yeah, that wouldn't be like. Yeah, we could do that.
That's what we planned on.
Yeah, we could do that. We could. Yeah, we'll do that. Episode 100. Sean will come in, be his final episode on If We Ran Nintendo.
Right.
I'm just waiting for Toby. I'm waiting for Toby's last episode on this podcast, really. So I'm hoping maybe next week will be, and then I could bring Murrin in, and he can replace Toby and all that. So
good luck with that, Bobby. I'm here to stay, mate.
You're not here to stay. I'm kidding. I'm teasing. Anyway, so let's kick this episode off like we do each and every episode with our Geek Outs.
Shout outs. Yes, I want to give a big old shout out to Antonio Guillen and Josh Stapleton and Adam Leonard, not to brag.
You do. We should shout out Adam Leonard because as people hear this episode, there's going to be a really cool looking new logo for this show, and we already have it. Adam sent it to me. Dude, this guy is a rock star. Like, I can't urge anybody enough. Like, if you are looking for a logo for your show or whatever you do, go reach out to Adam because this guy just knocks it out the park every single time he does something. It's really, really phenomenal.
Hey, Bobby.
Yeah.
So next month, with our Patreon money, we should all go out and buy a white robe so we can all sit cross-legged in our white robes.
Yeah, okay. I don't even know what cross-legged looks like. Are you kidding me?
Right? There's no way I can't do that at all.
You're nuts. I get down like that and I won't be able to get back up off the floor, man. You're nuts. Anyway, so Geek Outs. Toby, let's start with you. What are you geeking out about?
Well, I just watched episode 1 of The Punisher on Netflix.
Is it out now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize. I gotta go check that.
Because you know what, I loved, I thought Jessica Jones was pretty good. Daredevil, I absolutely adored. Mm-hmm. Punisher is off with a bang. Really, really enjoying it. I wasn't too keen on Iron Fist. Mm-hmm. It was okay, but it was a little bit slow-paced, I think, and I think the whole character of that show is a little bit weird. And I haven't watched... What's the one where they all come together?
Oh, the Wannabe Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the name of it.
Whatever it's called,
yeah.
I didn't watch it. I didn't hear good things about it. But, yeah, The Punisher, though, really, really, really cool.
I love John Bernthal. John Bernthal played Shane on The Walking Dead for, the first year or so. And, dude, I loved him, man. I was so upset when...
Then what happened to him, Bobby? What happened after that year?
He died.
Oh.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yep.
Dude, it's 8 years later. If you haven't watched it, too bad, man. I don't care. Oh well. Anyway, he was really, really good on that show, and I liked him a lot. So I was happy when he came on as a Punisher.
I didn't like him on The Walking Dead, though.
You did? I didn't like his character, but I thought he was a phenomenal actor, man. He played that role perfectly.
Actor, and you know what? You're meant to hate him on the show.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
They did a good job there.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole Cletus thing, that was amazing, dude. That's what I would have done. They're like, yo, Biggins, you're going down, buddy. Boom, shoot it, just run. But, Sean, what are you geeking out about?
I'm currently considering that I should have brought, Mark Carabin's selfie stick. I'm closer to him now than I was before. Maybe I could just go take a quick jaunt over and grab his selfie stick so I could... But I'm geeking out about my wife, actually.
Stop moving around.
You like this, though.
No, man, it's gonna make me
weird,
seasick.
Requiem for a Dream.
I'm gonna actually turn it off.
Movie?
I'm gonna turn your camera off in a minute.
Just hang on.
It's making me
put
nauseous.
on your C-bands and just chill.
It's making me nauseous.
I'm geeking out about my wife. So Chelsea has recently discovered the What's Good Games podcast with Andrea Renee and Christine Steimer and all them.
Yeah.
And is
that actually any good?
I love it. I am a patron. I support them on patreon.com/whatsgoodgames.
So tell me this quickly, right? Have they actually put some effort into their YouTube channel yet? Because the videos I saw when they first started their Patreon,
it's pretty rough.
Were pretty rough. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've gotten better. You're the weirdo who only watches podcasts on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But their audio has gotten better, and Chelsea has discovered them as something to watch and listen to while she's editing her photos. She's usually watching Netflix or something, and I think she ran out of shows, so she's starting to watch this. And for her, like as a gamer, she never really got into podcasts because like it's all guys. It's just like Sausage Fest podcast.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
All
like
over
us.
the place. Right. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
she doesn't. That's why I can talk about it, because she won't listen to this. But she listens to them and sort of has that feeling like we all have when we listen to podcasts of, man, I love talking or like hearing people talk about games. I love like listening to these people talk about games makes me want to play games.
Yeah.
And for her, she just never really connected on any level like that. And then discovering this whole group of 4 women, she's like, I wish I had friends like this. Like she's going through all that stuff that we all go through when we discover podcasts. And it's so cool because it's cool. She like wants to get into streaming. She wants to like get into this side of, like, she's been inspired by this podcast. And I'm like, I'm right there, man. Like I'm shopping for like game capture cards for her and headsets and everything. Like her whole Christmas list has been revamped because of this podcast. And I love it, man. I'm right there. I want to make it happen.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Myself, I am geeking out a little thing that I watched yesterday called Justice League. I will admit it's not my favorite movie of all time. But they did enough in this movie to excite me. As a DC fan, there were so many different Easter eggs within that I was just flipping out when I saw them. I felt like The Flash and Aquaman are tremendous. They did such a hell of a job. Oh, they did a hell of a job, man. And
really, I
I
saw a clip.
Yeah,
Bobby, on Graham Norton. Do you know what Graham Norton is?
I know. I love Graham Norton. He's amazing.
So Aquaman was on Graham Norton, and they showed a clip.
Momoa, yeah.
Aquaman, right? Because he had his trident and everything, so he's Aquaman when he's on there.
Yeah.
When it's not a trident. It's a.
It's a trident. It's a trident.
No, it's not a trident. It's got the 5 prongs instead of 3. So it's not a trident. It's a.
Well, then that's the wrong one, but it's a trident. That's what they call it.
That's what he had.
That's what they called it in the comic. They called it the trident.
Is it like a menorah?
He said that the trident comes in the next film. I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
Maybe he was joking. I don't know. Anyway, the clip they showed was when Batman was talking, like first met him and trying to recruit him or something.
Yeah.
And that whole scene, like, it was pretty bad. Like, obviously it's out of context. I don't know where it fits into the film, but like, is Aquaman actually cool?
He is badass. Dude, he is awesome. Like, I love him, dude. I can't spoil anything. I can't say anything. But there's stuff he does that makes you, if you catch it, makes you laugh out loud. Like, there is some good stuff. He's just a badass. He really is. Like,
Bobby, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
About Jason Momoa, because I was looking at a picture of him, standing waist deep in the water, and I was looking at his abs and his body, and his manliness and everything.
Insane,
and as I was looking at this, I was eating a pizza, and I wondered to myself, do you have an answer? How often do you think he eats pizza?
Probably
Ever?
never.
Is it once a week?
Never.
Is that the answer?
Probably never. But I like the fact that, like, okay, so Aquaman always gets a bad rap of like, oh, well, your power is you talk to fish and stuff, and it's funny because they actually like reference this, and because that's not what he does. Like, that's not a thing, It's like when you watch that stuff when you're a kid and the Super Friends and stuff, like, you see what they do, but like they've taken him into like a more badass role in the comics as well. Jeff Johns, he revamped the whole thing, the whole origin story and stuff, and it's really good. I loved what they did, man. I thought it was really well done. The Flash is awesome because the Flash just adds that little bit of humor at certain parts that just make you laugh. It's really cool because he's kind of like us. You know what I mean? Like, if you found out that there was superheroes around and there actually are superheroes and you're meeting them for the first time, like, how would you react? And that's how he's reacting. Like, for us as the viewers, we're like, well, of course that's Batman. Like, we know. But he's, like, freaking out when he finds, it's just, like, really cool, man. It's just really well done. So, it's funny because when I went to go watch it yesterday, I had come from work, and I was up a little bit late the night before, so I was kind of tired and cranky. So I watched it, I was like, whatever, it's okay. But then I went on the Secret Friends Unite podcast last night with Todd Oxtra, and we were kind of breaking it down. And then as I started to think about it, I was like, no, I really like this movie. Like, it started to hit me like, no. There's parts that are like, it all started to come back. I was like, this movie was really good, man. It was really, really good. So my best friend, my real best friend in all the land, the guy that was my best friend growing up, he name's Dave Maxwell.
Screw that guy.
His name's Dave Maxwell. He's a big Marvel guy, and he texted me last night while I was on Todd's podcast. He's like, "Dude, this is the best DC movie I've seen so far." He's like, "I'm really impressed with it." He's like, "It was good." So I know it's not doing well. Rotten Tomatoes is beating the hell out of it again, but whatever. I don't care. My thing is just keep making money, so that way you can keep making movies, because that's the end result. As long as the movies make money, it doesn't matter what people say about them. Warner Brothers will continue.
I disagree, Bobby. Transformers makes a lot of money. They shouldn't keep making Transformers films.
That's what you think. But if the studio sees it making and turning a profit, they're going to keep making them. I got news for you.
Yeah, no, but that doesn't help the fans.
Doesn't matter what you
think.
Fans. Doesn't matter what you think. They're going to get.
So it doesn't matter what you think of the film either, then?
No, because I, as a DC fan, enjoy it. We've been through this a million times.
Yeah, but you're saying it doesn't matter if it's any good.
No. It doesn't matter what Rotten Tomatoes says. It doesn't matter what the critics say. I don't care about that. It's what the fans say. If DC fans are happy with the movie, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter what the Marvel fans say, because it doesn't. Like, you don't read those comics all the time. It's like me going. I always feel this way. It's like if I'm a Nintendo fan, right? Which I am, and then all of a sudden I decide, okay, I'm going to suddenly start telling Xbox how to make games and what they should do. This asshole. Then
you have to bleep that out.
I'm not bleeping it out. It's staying in. But if I suddenly start to tell someone else how they should do things, well, I'm not a fan of that. So how should I have the right to tell them how to do things? Doesn't make sense. So it's the same thing. That's the way I feel. Like, I don't go in and start telling Marvel fans, like, well, you shouldn't like the Punisher because it shouldn't be done this way. It should be done this way, you know? So, anyway. Topics-wise. So, this was a mistake. Who wants to go first with their topic?
I'll go first.
Toby will go first.
So my topic, I want to know what you think is one thing that PlayStation could learn from Nintendo and one thing that PlayStation could learn from Xbox.
So I guess we'll do Xbox first and then we'll do Nintendo.
Yeah, we'll go around. Yeah.
But are we, like, is that where Sean, like, we should just both say what we think, right?
I've got a whole list, guys. I had to put you down for a second so I could grab my phone. I've got a whole page of things that
just
one could learn from Xbox.
One thing.
Yeah, the most important thing, Sean.
Yeah, the most important thing. Not the laundry. We got an hour show here where they don't have...
So we're taking our... So we didn't even... Bobby, you skipped over the whole notion of this show. The whole, like, recreation. That I'm the Xbox guy, Toby's the PlayStation guy, you're the Nintendo guy. Yeah, now that's clear. Now we're gonna lay the smack.
I didn't think that needed to be said, but okay, whatever. Go ahead.
Sometimes you just need to, just in case this is somebody's first thing. They're like, you know what? I've always wanted a gaming guru podcast, and now they have it. They weren't here before. They weren't part of the guru family.
Okay, so let's do this then. All right, we'll stop.
All right.
After Toby already said his topic, you're gonna make me.
All right.
You know what?
All right. Let me
derailing
stuff.
Let me go into it then. You can't just leave it alone. You got to always derail. For Mr. Perfect over here, the idea is that the three of us are gurus within our, favorite gaming thing. So I am the Nintendo guru. Toby would be like the PlayStation guy, and then Sean would be the Xbox guy. No, you're not gurus.
I'm not a guru.
Exactly.
Ben Butlers and Nathan Thomas are the gurus.
Yeah.
So we're not claiming to be experts here. But
I am claiming to be an
expert. The idea of this podcast is we are gurus. Yeah. So let's just call ourselves gurus. Okay, whatever. Just for the sake of it.
You've been dying to call yourself guru for 2.5 years since we met each other, and now you're finally taking liberties with the name. But anyway, that's the idea. So each week, I will bring a Nintendo topic, Toby will bring a PlayStation, Sean will bring an Xbox topic, and then we will discuss the things. And then, so that's what we're going to do. So
thanks, Bobby. I feel better.
Okay, now that Sean feels better. Toby, real quick again. Let's go over again real quick. What's your topic?
So what is one thing that PlayStation could learn from Nintendo and one thing that PlayStation could learn from Xbox?
Okay, so we'll start with Xbox, since it's the lesser of the three consoles. And
Yep.
So what is... Sean, I'll start with you. What's the one thing that you feel like PlayStation could learn from Xbox?
So the four things are Nintendo needs to do daily deals for games. They need to have sales
What are you
every
talking-
single
who
week
said Nintendo?
from Xbox
Yeah,
You-
with
or
what could?
PlayStation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
PlayStation.
Okay, change your names. Downloading downloadable gaming subscription. Their whole PS Now thing is garbage.
One thing.
4K blue. Okay, 4K. You can learn how to have 4K blue. Oh, actually, this is a big one. How to handle HDCP properly. The whole high bandwidth digital content protection. The whole thing that you got to shut off if you want to stream stuff. Everybody else has this figured out, and this really messes you up if you ever have to reconnect your video settings or reconnect to a different monitor or anything like that. Anybody who's done streaming through a PC on their PlayStation 4 knows the hassle that only PlayStation fans know about. That doesn't exist on Xbox, and it also doesn't exist on Nintendo.
That is true. Because I remember
So that really
the
sucks.
first time I wanted to actually capture some footage of a game on PlayStation, I had no clue what I was doing. I couldn't figure it out. It wouldn't record. The screen was black. I could not at all figure it out. And then, like, you start to realize, like, you have to shut something off. And, like, if your screen's black, it's hard to tell where you gotta, like...
Is that through an Elgato then?
Yeah, if you're going through a capture card,
Really?
it does
So
not
you
stream.
don't. It's not just HDMI through the Elgato back into the TV.
No, you gotta
It doesn't
go.
work.
You have to go into your
Really?
settings and shut
Wow.
something off your PlayStation 4.
So if that's true, then that is something that Sony needs to figure out.
Yeah, I would think.
That's a carryover from PS3 too. Like they had a chance to back away from
Yeah.
that, but it's baked into their OS.
Yeah. For me, I would say if I'm talking about Xbox, you know what they can learn from Xbox, I would feel like they could learn how to have a better, stronger infrastructure for online. Because I feel like Xbox is the one company that gets it right and does it right. So I feel like that would be the thing that I would say, like, that would be the one thing that they need to, like, do and do better. Because I just don't feel like they do that to perfection. Because for me, with the online and me personally is how long it takes to download stuff on that game, on that console. That infrastructure is so horrendous. Their speeds to download and all that, like their networking is a joke. Like I was talking about the other day, like it took me 45 minutes to download the day one patch for Doom on the Nintendo Switch. It took me 3 hours to do it on my PS4. Like that's unacceptable. Like it shouldn't be. And you know, even when I was hardwired in, it still took a long time to download stuff. So it's like with a company where you got games that are 50 to 60 gig per game. If I go digital, I literally have to. If they're a company, when people point at Nintendo and go like, "Oh, well, you're just now doing like pre-downloads and stuff," Nintendo really don't have to. For a 5 gig game, it doesn't take anything for them to download that. But when you're looking at a company like PlayStation that takes forever, 6 to 8 hours to download a game, you have to have that. So I feel like that's my thing that I would do a takeaway for Xbox with them. Now, as far as Nintendo, if I'm looking at what Sony can learn...
Hang on. I've not said what I think Sony could learn from Xbox.
We don't care what you think.
Come on, Bobby.
Go ahead.
My turn.
Go ahead.
So I think that Sony could learn a lot from Xbox about appreciating their back catalogue. So backwards compatibility. Because the PS4 has struggled with that a lot more than the PS3 has. The PS3 had PS1 classics you could play and download. But the PS4, they've sort of gone for the solution of PlayStation Now, and even that isn't that great because you have to have a great internet connection and the choice of games on there. You know, they've got a lot of PS3 games on there and actually some PS4 games, but they don't have PS1 games on there. I don't even think they've got PS2 games on there. You can download some PS2 games from the PlayStation Store, but it just doesn't feel like they appreciate where they came from. And
I like that they added trophies to some of those PS2 games, though. That would be cool. If they were able to do that with some of the games that don't have achievements on Xbox side.
Yeah, definitely. But I think they could do a lot more. And, you know, it's the same. Nintendo, obviously, they make a ton of money from their back catalogue. They're not doing great on Switch at the moment because they ain't got Virtual Console. But when that does come along, then that's just going to be another kick in Sony's, like, teeth, basically. So
Yeah. So for the Nintendo side, what I feel that PlayStation can learn from Nintendo, it would be how to be innovative without snagging ideas. I feel like that's something that Sony does all the time. They try
so
to...
vague.
What are you talking about? No, like, what I'm saying is rather than stealing people's ideas, go be innovative. Like, don't look at Nintendo and go, oh, you're doing motion control? We're going to take motion control and do it. Oh, you're doing a Smash game where all your characters fight each other? We're going to copy that. Like, everything that they essentially do, they try to pull from other companies. I don't feel like they're truly innovative. The one step that I felt was a step in innovation for them was VR, and I feel like they're kind of letting that fall apart. So that would be for me. I would just say, like, I would like to see them be more innovative, and when they do come up with something, just stick with it and push it further. Because I don't feel like PC is the leader of VR. Just because it's so difficult for people to dive into VR. Cost-wise. You have to have a high-rig PC and all that. It's like, it's not efficient. What I thought, even though VR was not for me, and I probably wouldn't ever play it, I feel like it is a future staple of the industry. And I feel like PlayStation had the opportunity to, like, get it and do it right. And I don't feel like they're doing it right. I feel like they're letting it kind of fall apart. And so that's where I feel like, stop. When you come up with something innovative, push it. Like, push the narrative and keep going with it.
Yeah, I feel like, Sony obviously does innovate sometimes with certain features, like console features. But a lot of the time, like you say, they take what's been proven as successful and they try and imitate that. Yeah. And, with the Move controllers was obviously, the Wii is so massive, let's try and do that.
Yeah.
But then, like what I think is good about the PS4 as an innovation is the built-in video capture and the I don't know what's that share play feature that was pretty cool. Just little touches like that. But then here's the thing,
Toby. Even that they're not doing right. Like, I don't care what anybody says. I feel like the easiest way is Nintendo. You click a button and it's there. It's saved.
Yeah, but that Bobby, they haven't got their video up and running at all yet. Like, not really.
You can
30 seconds.
That was going to be the one that I brought up, guys.
That's the first step.
Both Xbox and PlayStation could learn from Nintendo on the simplicity of screen cap and sharing. Like, I want to have like a side race. Like,
Sony has got better with that.
Well, actually, Bobby could because he's the Nintendo guru. You guys should race on taking a screen cap and posting it to Twitter, see who gets it first.
Yeah.
I guarantee Bobby wins.
Yeah.
Like, and trust me, I wish.
Yeah, but who did it first? Who did it first?
Come on. But that's don't matter who does it first. Who
does
it right?
Yeah.
Look, all I'm saying is that was an innovation, and Nintendo have copied that, so they're doing the same back.
Yeah, but I don't feel like that's like Xbox also has a share feature. Like it's
but Bobby,
theirs is the worst.
Yeah,
Xbox is the worst, man. Out of all of them, it's god awful.
What I'm saying is you're pointing at Sony and saying like they do this the best. They don't do it the best. I don't feel like they do it the best.
We're not talking about who does things the best, Bobby. We were talking about innovation, and when the PS4 came along, that was a feature that was there, and the Wii U didn't have it, and the Switch doesn't have it properly yet. Like, I'm just saying that was something that Sony did good, and I think they have done well with that. Anyway, another thing is the DualShock controller, right? That has not changed much over the years.
At all.
They've taken a design that they know works pretty well. It's not everyone's favorite controller, but it does work. So, and I feel like the way they've tried to innovate with that controller,
they should steal this controller.
I don't think they've done a good job with it. They should
steal this controller. That's what
they
should do.
No, Bobby. The Switch Pro controller is amazing, but there's no headphone jack, which winds me up.
Doesn't matter.
It does matter.
It don't matter.
It matters.
It don't matter.
Anyway,
I can plug in. I can steal my Sony. I can steal my Sony Golds and plug them in. I'm good to go.
Oh, we're not talking about that. So I feel like Sony, they put the touchpad button on the DualShock 4 and the light bar, and I think they're too gimmicky. I think whatever they do next with their controller, if they're going to innovate with it, they need to do something that's not gimmicks.
Can I say something that they should innovate with the next controller?
Yeah,
it's called battery life.
Yeah.
How about you don't throw these stupid flashing lights and stuff all over the thing,
exactly,
and do it where the thing lasts more than 4 hours or whatever. Like, it's a joke. It's a joke of a controller. Meanwhile, I haven't plugged this thing in I plugged it in one time when I got it.
Yeah. I mean, don't worry, Bobby. That controller, the Nintendo Pro controller, is my favorite controller.
So it better be.
Just relax.
It better be.
Just relax, Bobby.
Sean,
not mine. So not my favorite.
It should be. Well, yours is the Elite.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sean has to have little paddles on the back of his.
They're life changing. You guys don't knock it until you try it, man. It's amazing.
So your one thing, Sean, you were saying was the share feature. That was the one thing you felt like they could learn from Nintendo.
Big time, and it's amazing. Well, even like just the overall simplicity. I think that the things that people knock Nintendo for are actually strengths of theirs. The simplicity of the Switch OS is a huge plus that both PlayStation and Xbox can learn from, and it's just so streamlined, and it trickles down to load times, and your whole experience is snappy. It's that tablet experience, and I was posting videos of load times on Xbox One X trying to say like, it's faster than the S, and then people on Switch come over and go, your guys' load times are brutal. And I can't remember who commented on it. It might have been Joey Hehir. And I'm like, you're totally right, man. Like, we just kind of got used to this. Meanwhile, Nintendo is back to the old days when PlayStation 1 first came out, and we're spinning that disc around going these load screens. Like, we're on cartridges, man. Like, this is non-existent on Nintendo platform.
I mean, cartridges aren't always faster, but they are good. I mean, because I was watching a comparison of Skyrim, and on PS4, it still loads quicker than Switch.
Oh, wow. I wonder why.
It's close. Like fast travel is only like a second behind on Switch, but actually loading the game up was like 5-second difference. But,
that's interesting.
So I think that Sony could learn how to support handhelds properly, because they failed big time compared to the way Nintendo supported their handhelds over the years, especially with the 3DS. Nintendo showed that they had a price issue with it and they had a games issue with it, and they didn't just give up on it like Sony would. They reduced the price and they supported it hardcore. They put out some decent games for it, and it took off.
Yeah.
And I think that the Vita is just a massive failure for Sony, and I think that they really could have made it a big success if they just supported it more and did it right.
They have to be killing themselves or kicking themselves a little bit when they look at, like, here's the Switch come in, and basically all those games that they could have had on the Vita are now going to Nintendo.
Yeah.
And it's got to be killing them to go, like, dude, they basically walked in our backyard and stole our meal. Like, they went in and just picked up our barbecue and took it home with them. Like, it's crazy. They just killed them, man.
Barbecue.
Whatever.
You waltz into your backyard.
Like, walk in your backyard and grab your barbecue, all your food, and you leave, man. You're like, hey, we're taking this party with us. Sean, what's your topic for this week?
My topic is the Xbox One X is out. It's been out for a couple of weeks now. We've seen some early sales figures out of the UK, 80,000 in the first week compared to 50,000 on the PS4 Pro. I just kind of wanted to get a sense from you guys, like, what do you think, man? Like, does this change anything? Is it too early to tell? Do you think that this is the first of an Xbox comeback, or is this kind of a flash in the pan? We're going to be right back to where we were a week or two before the X came out.
I think, for me, I feel like a couple things need to happen. They need to get it out there on how to get the games looking good right away, because I think that tends to be one of the complaints I've been hearing lately is people get this system and they immediately just expect it to run. They don't realize there's settings they have to line up with their TVs to make sure everything runs perfectly. Once that gets set aside and that kind of gets streamlined, I think they could be heading in the right direction. But I feel like ultimately Xbox didn't really move the needle that much. Because what I would have imagined is more people jumping on from PlayStation. Yes, there was more when you compare the Pro versus the X. But it's still ultimately a half step. And I don't know...
In what sense is it a half step?
Well, in the sense of, like, it's a half step of... It's a new iteration of a console in between consoles. So it's not the Xbox whatever 2, if they call it a 2, or whatever their next console is. Same as, like, it's not a PlayStation 5. The Pro isn't a 5. It's like a half step in between of what it is.
That's sort of a
small,
topic
it's a
within
small
a topic.
upgrade. Yeah, it's a small upgrade.
Well, that's what I want to get into, and like I talked to Joseph Moran about this thing too. Like, there's nothing inside of this thing that says to me that it's an Xbox One. Like, there's like the RAM type is different. The number of cores and then the type of processor is different. The cooling system is different. Like, everything about it is different, except for the fact that the box on the outside says Xbox One and it plays your Xbox One games. Like, to me, they've sort of like snuck in this next generation thing. This is the next gen, but it's backwards compatible for Xbox One games. Yeah. Like, all the generations are so smooth now, Bobby, we don't even know what's current gen or backwards compatible and all those other things. I just think that's really, really interesting. So, like, maybe they've moved the needle in that sense, and it almost damns them in a way because it's called the Xbox One, they're always going to be looped into that family of consoles and how many have they sold instead of, like, they're now leading the charge on whatever the next generation is. It's just like, it's categorization stuff.
I wonder what would have happened if they would have come out and said, like, this is Xbox 2, right? And said, oh, by the way, our Xbox One games are backwards compatible. You can play them on here. But this is the next step, the next iteration. I wonder if they would have been more successful that way than to just say, like, this is out. Not that they said this, but this is essentially our PS4 Pro. Like, this is our half step up to whatever. This isn't a
But
true
that's sort of like a
turn.
Wii U situation as well. So maybe that's why. Yeah.
Maybe that's why they didn't. But ultimately, I don't feel like when I look at things, I feel like right now the hype is still behind the Switch.
I don't feel that was not expected.
No,
like,
I don't.
The beginning of the year when we're all looking forward to Project Scorpio, and we're like, well, the Switch will be out too, but whatever. Yeah. But holy crap, man, it has punched Xbox in the solar plexus.
And PlayStation. Like, it's basically, I don't feel like PlayStation or Xbox have figured out a way to slow Nintendo's momentum right now. I really did believe, I was one of the people that believed that, like, when the Scorpio at the time gets launched, Nintendo's in trouble. And they're showing that it's not phasing them at all. So,
Toby, what's it like in the UK over there, man? Because Xbox has had trouble in Europe, especially, like, really anywhere but North America. So this was kind of interesting news.
Xbox has always been quite successful in the UK. Obviously, PlayStation dominates most of Europe, but Xbox has always done really well in the UK. And I think that it's going to take time.
What's the difference? I'm just kidding.
Anyway, it's going to take time for this public perception of games run best on Xbox. And, because over time, that people are going to get more and more used to hearing that and saying that and knowing that third-party games are going to run best on Xbox. So people that don't care about the exclusives are always going to go for Xbox, really. Like, unless there's a massive price gap, which at the moment there is, actually, with Black Friday coming up. You can get a PS4, I don't know if it's the Pro, but you can get that and PSVR for the same price as an Xbox One X. So it's like, wow, like, there's a big difference there. But yeah, like, I think that as 4K TVs become the norm and the Xbox One X, like, is going to look best all the time, then it's going to be like, at the start of this generation, I said that I love the PS4 because I know that that's where the games are going to run the best and look the best, as well as the exclusives. So I think if you take people's care of the exclusives out of it, then I think the Xbox One X is going to do really well. But then again, there is always that thing of people that say, oh, why do I need an X if I've got a PC and a PS4? Like,
because you want a 4K Blu-ray player too. Like, is this are they taking a page out of PlayStation's book where people bought I personally bought a PlayStation 3 because it was half the price of a Blu-ray player typically was. So there's obviously, it's a totally different market with, like, I don't really blame Sony for not putting a 4K Blu-ray player in their systems. Like, everybody's kind of like, that's their tech. But, like, who's buying this stuff? Like, I really think that they looked at the numbers and it was like kind of a no-brainer.
I haven't bought a DVD and I couldn't tell you how long.
Yeah,
that's not
streaming
that.
The difference is clear. Like, looking at 4K, especially on audio. Like, if you have a good home theater setup, like, the difference is there. But, like, that's not everybody. So
the thing is, right? I don't know if this is just part of me getting older, becoming a dad, worrying about money more. But I see these, like, incremental like changes in how good things look is not important to me anymore. You know, because like I know that the games are going to look best on Xbox and the films are going to look best with the better TV and everything, but right now I just don't care about that. I'm not willing to pay for that.
See, here's my issue with all this talk, and not you. And this is not directed you directly, Toby, because you've never been the person to say this.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say 85% of PlayStation fans have knocked Xbox over the last 3 years that their games look better on a PS4 than they do on an Xbox, and now we're in a situation where that's not the case. It's flip-flopped, and you're hearing Xbox people saying, like, hey, this is going to be where their best are. And PlayStation people are just like, it's not that much better. Oh, really? Because when it wasn't that much better on a PS4, but it was better, you guys were hammering that home. Now all of a sudden the narrative changed, and it's not that much better. Like, no, stop. Like, and then the other thing that bothers me too is when people immediately start to compare the PlayStation 4 Pro against the. Now wait a minute, you guys were all the ones that didn't buy a Pro because you felt like it wasn't that much of an iteration jump, but it is over. Now let's compare what you own, your PS4, against your Xbox One X. There's a big difference I feel between those two. So we'll see how it all pans out.
Yeah. I mean, and it's interesting as well the way Sean was saying that it's kind of like Xbox has snuck a new generation on us.
Yes.
But to me, like, it doesn't feel like that when it's all the same games. It's like, you know, when a new console comes out and there's just tons and tons of ports. Yeah. Like, the point of buying the console is void, really. I mean, you need something new to play on that you can only play on it. And I think that Xbox One X might be more successful if they start releasing games that only run on it.
And that's what I was saying originally. If they would have pushed it as a 2, and had some games that would have launched with, and then been like, it's also backwards compatible. To the PS or the Xbox One X. That would have been, or the Xbox One. It would have been a better move, I feel, for them. Okay, so my topic is kind of two-parter a little bit. And that's more or less is the way I wanted to bring that up is I wanted to say, is this year, because for Nintendo, like coming off of the Wii U, it was kind of like drought city most of the time for games. Have you, and I want to include all consoles in this, have you ever seen a time where so many games are hitting all at once, week after week after week after week? And also, when do you feel like Nintendo should step in and kind of be like, okay, guys, we need to chart a path for launch dates, because games are totally getting missed within the mix. And let's start with the first part. Do you guys ever remember a time where any console, not just Nintendo, just had an influx of games hitting so hard at one time? What do you guys think?
I think the closest example actually is not even a console, but it's your phone.
Yeah.
It's like that's kind of, and then like maybe the next might be Steam, but and on PC, but I don't think that really correlates as directly as this thing just came out and all of a sudden it's like dozens and dozens of games per week. Like the Nintendo Dads podcast is 6 hours long because they got to cover every single game that comes out. Yeah. Like I don't think that that's ever really happened before, and it's a catch-22 for sure, because I actually think that this is better than the situation on the Wii U. Mm-hmm. Like I think it's more of a barometer check of how successful the thing is doing, because everybody's putting their games on there rather than and because like everybody's buying games too. Yeah. Like yes, some are getting missed, but attach rates are crazy and people are just gobbling this stuff up, whether it's Skyrim or Doom. Like those things are climbing the charts, or SteamWorld, Dig, you may have heard of that, Bobby Image and Form. You ever heard of those guys? They make games. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that they need to step in, and I also think that like it's still, even though it's crazy right now, it's a far cry from the situations on Steam and on iOS, and actually PlayStation as well has a bit of an issue there. So I think maybe like it's getting towards that, but at the same time, it's like, what is the issue? Like, who knows what gems lie in these big batches of games? It makes it harder for us to know like which one to play, because it's almost like decision paralysis when we see all these games. But if you start to control the flow of games into the ecosystem, then you might be saying no to a game that you don't even know if it's great.
Yeah.
Like, who knew about, like, Minecraft, I'm sure, is an example of something that, like, people probably would have shut down from the beginning.
Yeah.
But it grows these things, especially indies. They grow into something that beyond anybody could have seen to begin with. So to have any form of control, I think, it might feel better because, yeah, like you know at least what you're dealing with. But then it's the unknown, the possibility and the amazing part of the unknown that you just automatically shut down. So I'm kind of against it. I don't think. I'm going to say one other aspect to this too. It would be very Nintendo to do that. It would be on brand almost, like it would, and people would be like, well, I guess that's just Nintendo, and they bring back that stamp of approval, the quality or whatever it's called.
The seal of quality.
Seal of quality. I'm stumbling a little bit, but yeah, that's it. You know, I don't know anything about Nintendo. I shouldn't even be on a Nintendo show.
You know what? Nintendo still had the seal of quality on their amiibo packaging.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Toby?
I think that with great success, it draws people to their platform, and obviously the Switch is taking off big time. You know, the same way that the Wii did, but the problem with the Wii is it attracted shovelware, and we are starting to see a little bit of that in some releases on the Switch, but nowhere near as bad yet.
I don't think.
And I think that
I would disagree completely.
Well, I think there are some games.
Well, there's always going to be some junk thrown in there,
yeah,
but
what I'm saying is Nintendo needs to keep on top of that, because at the moment, I'd say the overall quality of games on the eShop is really high, and we have an embarrassment of riches, and that is only a good thing for a console owner. Like, when a new console comes out, people go, oh, there's no games for it, I'm not going to buy it. But Nintendo have done a really great job this year of making sure it's got so much to play on it. Like, there's no way that people can say there's nothing to play on the Switch, because there is too much to play on the Switch.
That's what I'm getting at. That's where my fear is. Because when I look at, like, the past 2 weeks are my reference points. Like, you had L.A. Noire, Skyrim, Doom, It'll Do 2, Batman Telltale. Like, it's crazy to think that these are the games that are hitting a Nintendo console, and it's like people are actually having to now get to the point where they're like, I can't get Skyrim right now. I gotta wait on that. I want Doom. I also want LA. Like, I'm literally, like, you guys know, like, I'm buying everything up. This is the first week that I had to go, all right, I gotta wait a week. Like, this is nuts. Like, I didn't buy Skyrim yet. I didn't buy LA Noire yet. I didn't buy Batman Telltale yet. But, and I'm like, next week I'll start to pick up some of them. But
there's
it's
something
crazy.
For everyone.
Yeah.
For everyone. It's not like it's just one genre, you know? So not everyone wants every single one. Not everyone is you, Bobby. Right?
Well, I think where this idea came from is, like, this is what I don't get.
Yeah.
Why Nintendo didn't sit down with Bethesda and go, guys, why are you releasing Doom this week and Skyrim next week? Like, that makes no sense.
They're quite different audiences, though, Bobby.
And they did something similar just on the other consoles too, with Evil Within 2 and Wolfenstein as well. Like that was just October for Bethesda.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I bought Evil Within 2 because I like that sort of game better than a first-person shooter from them. So, you know, they have crossover for those audiences, but I think that it's not like they've put 2 shooters out within a week. You know, like EA did. You know, so
last year.
Yeah. I'm just a little. I think where my fear is this is when you look at a company like EA, who's now backing out and going like, oh well, our game didn't sell that well, so we're gonna wait and see. We want to see how things pan out a little bit.
Well, they're making a mistake.
I know they're making a mistake. I feel like when Faye comes, it's gonna really sell well on the Switch. And I think they're going to turn around and go, oh, we need to relook at this again. But that makes me nervous. When I look at a company like EA back away, it makes me go, well, did Bethesda mess up here? Where they're putting 2 games a week apart? Will they? Because we don't get sales figures right away. So it makes me nervous to go, are these games selling well enough?
They are selling well because they're
charting.
In the charts. They're charting on the eShop.
Okay.
So,
I just don't want to see
your pretty little head.
That's my biggest fear is because as a Nintendo fan, like, we got beat up. Nintendo fans got beat up with the Wii U. When we were screaming for games to come, the third parties would blame us and go, well, you guys don't buy our games. And it's like, I'm trying to buy everything I can to support third parties to go, keep bringing stuff here, and it's like, if we're all doing that, like, I don't want to be then penalized because, like, look at Capcom. You know, like, Capcom gives us garbage, we buy it, we eat it up, and then they don't give us the stuff we really want. Like, where's the Mega Man Legacy Collection?
Oh, you know what I'm excited about, Bobby? Extra little geek out here, right?
Yeah.
Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 coming to Switch with pointer controls.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, there's a trailer on YouTube that you can aim your Joy-Con like a Wii remote and shoot.
Nice.
And my favourite version of Resident Evil 4 is the Wii version because it feels so natural. It's like playing on a PC. Like,
okay.
And I am so happy. That's why I'm supporting Capcom with that. Like, because I want more shooters where you can point and shoot. So.
Good. That's good to hear. Okay, so let's real quick before we wrap the show up. Let's jump into what we're playing. Toby, I'll throw it to you first. What are you playing right now?
So I'm playing two new things.
Mm-hmm.
We played Worms Battleground, which is a PS Plus game.
Okay.
And we streamed it on the SXHB YouTube channel. That's a lot of fun. It's just, it's pretty much just Worms. Every game is just Worms. Like, they innovate very slowly. But other than that, I've been playing Fortnite Battle Royale, the free-to-play thing on PS4.
How you liking that?
Well, I was like, I'm a big fan of watching people play PUBG. I bought an Xbox One so I could play PUBG, right? And I was like, because of that, I was really against Fortnite. I thought, it's a rip-off, the cartoony, arcadey graphics. This is crap. But actually, it was free, so I thought it's worth a try just to see what it's like. And it's a lot of fun. It really is. And,
nice.
When you're in a team of players and you get down to the wire, like Mike got lucky like 2 times where me and P died early on in the game, and you get to spectate your friend, and Mike found a sniper rifle, and he hid in a bush, and then he went from bush to bush all the way to the very end, right? And he sat in this bush as the circle is getting smaller and smaller. Everyone's killing themselves around him. And then he was down to him versus 2 other people.
Oh, God.
And they thought he was in a house. So they're getting their rocket launchers out, blowing the crap out of this house. Mike's in this bush, like right next to him. The circle getting smaller and smaller. So he walks behind a rock and he's just in the circle. And then they've built themselves a little wooden fortress. And one of them's poking their head out over the top. And because he had his sniper rifle, he shot him right in the head and downed him. So the storm's coming for him. So he starts running forward, gets out a little submachine gun, starts destroying their wall. But then the other friend just jumped over the wall and took him out. And it was like he was this close to winning. And it was so exciting.
That's awesome.
So it is really, really good. So if you're against it because you're a big PUBG fan, I'd say just give it a go. It's free. Try it.
That's awesome. Sean,
I got to get it on PlayStation. I have it on Xbox.
What are you playing, Sean?
Man, I was saying to Toby as you were fixing your internet that I just jumped into the first 15 minutes of It'll Do 2 on the Switch, and just what an absolute charming game that little darling is. And I think probably the thing that I like best about it is just like, it's like, here's the game. It's got this quick 15-second little intro, and you just go. And I just absolutely adore it. I think it is so cute. I've like stumbled into this little star place that I don't think I'm supposed to be there yet because I get my butt kicked.
Yeah. You are supposed to be there, Sean.
Okay, then I suck at this game.
It's the majesty of this game, right? Those areas, they might have harder enemies and stuff, but the reward comes from fighting your way through that and getting items from the dungeons early. Because if you go into harder dungeons first and get those items, then you can take shortcuts in different dungeons that you couldn't before. So, like, it creates a new dynamic to the whole game. It changes.
I'm getting my butt kicked by this cactus who keeps he sounds like he's gonna take a big poop and then he just spreads all his needles out everywhere and get my butt He's really gonna hurt himself, I think, if he keeps that up. Just let it happen, man. Just read a book or something. Grab a newspaper. So I'm
Did you ever, real quick to cut you off, did you ever see Toby's review of that game?
Yeah, the 10 things I was talking to him about. The 10 things I love about it.
But did you see the end of it?
No, I gotta rewatch it.
Oh,
again.
you gotta watch the whole end.
I watched it. I watched it when he first did it.
You need to watch it again.
I'm gonna watch it again. But I will be doing a review for that for We the Nerdy, which is great. And then the other game that I'm playing that I've been on a bit of a journey with Lohr on Xbox is Star Wars Battlefront 2. I've been playing the campaign and just really not sure, guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that good.
Is it? You think it's because you're not a huge, massive Star Wars fan? That's what's not making it
No,
for you?
I am a fan. That's the thing that's keeping me in, is that I love all the music and the pew pew and I'm killing these stormtroopers, man, and they look like they're just like they were filmed in real life. Like the game is gorgeous. It sounds amazing. Everything about it. It's a technical masterpiece.
Yeah.
But like they insert, my biggest problem I think with it that I would identify is that they insert these spots where you have to sort of like infiltrate and you have to be stealthy, and I already suck at stealth, so this may be a bias, but in my opinion, the stealth is absolute trash. Like there's no hope that you're gonna, like, it seems like they can see through walls. And they've got the little like identifier or the indicator that they see you, and it's like if that thing even starts going up, you're totally hooped. Yeah. So it's frustrating because like when I die, I don't really feel like I want to go back into it, and that sucks. That's not a good feeling. I love the space battles are awesome. It reminds me of playing like X-Wing and stuff back in the day. But other than that, I don't know, dude. I'll play multiplayer because I think that multiplayer is fun. But the campaign I was really looking forward to, and I couldn't decide if it was just me or like if it's not the right time. But Lohr and I have been tweeting back and forth of, I don't think this is good. So, and nobody's really talking about it. That's the other hard part. Like
that's because they're so wrapped up on loot boxes.
Yeah,
I know, that's really the stupidest thing.
Don't you think it's amazing, like how good that game looks and sounds? Like back in the day, we had like Super Star Wars on the Super Nintendo, and that was a great game, but at the time you would never imagine how good this game looks. Like Sean says, you are in Star Wars. You are playing. It looks like Star Wars, and they've nailed that so well. And it's such a shame that this game is like all the talk around it is about the loot boxes. Like nobody's appreciating how the art and craft that's gone into this game.
Yeah.
But obviously I don't know what the gameplay's like. I've heard that the missions can get repetitive in your objectives, like you're given the same thing to do over and over within one mission.
So
you're muted, Sean. You're muted.
I'm sorry. I think the most disappointing thing is that like I don't think that anybody's figured out how to do lightsaber fighting. I don't think fighting with a lightsaber is satisfying. Like I don't think anybody like would swing it in such short little like it's very like mechanical and very robotic. I think it should be a little bit more fluid, and I don't feel like powerful with a lightsaber in this game, and really like with any Star Wars games, I don't think. But it's maybe because it's a sword, and you're bringing basically like a knife to a gunfight kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
has anyone like nailed sword fighting in any game? Really?
Not really.
For Honor was pretty good. I actually really liked For Honor, that Ubisoft
Much
game that
slower
came out
pace,
earlier this
though.
year.
Yeah,
like it's sword versus sword.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you do sword versus lasers, but
Did,
I just don't feel.
Did any of you play Red Steel 1 or 2?
No.
So the first game was really bad. Like they did not deliver on the sword fighting motion control thing. It was like there was like 4 different animations depending on which way you swung. It was really bad, but they actually did quite a good job with Red Steel 2. Like it was more 1-to-1 because they had motion plus and everything. So, but like it's interesting because you think that motion controls have been around for a while now. With they've got better and better, but no one's really done a sword fighting game. Like I think what was it, Level 5 or Factor 5 was working on a lightsaber battle game for the Wii, but it just didn't work. And I wonder how satisfying that would actually be, like having a game that looks as good as Star Wars Battlefront, but with proper motion control lightsaber, like 1-to-1. Are people just not good at fighting, like sword fighting in real life? Because it must be really hard, like being good with a sword in real life.
Yeah.
So like, would that actually be fun in a game?
No.
Yeah, I
to
think
answer
you're
your
right.
question, no.
Yeah.
I don't really want to. Myself, I too have been playing It'll Do Too. Just love this game. This game is so good. I didn't beat it on the PS4. I got pretty deep into it, but didn't beat it. So I'm going back and I'm playing it now, and I just love it. It's so good. Also playing some Breath of the Wild, trying to get myself back into that world for when that DLC pack comes out, because I'm going to dive right back in hardcore. The last thing, Rocket League. Oh, dude, we've been streaming it. It is phenomenal, man. It is so good. The one thing, my one critique of it is it feels like sometimes it just takes a little too long to 5 matches. But once you get in and you start going, I think it's just a matter of learning the whole system and figuring out how it goes. But my God, dude, it is so good. The other critique would be the matchmaking just isn't that good because we've been playing, we're all, like the ones that have been playing with me are all Nintendo guys, and most of us haven't played Rocket League yet. And they're putting us in against Xbox players who've been playing for a year, 2 years, whatever, and they are smoking us. But still, it's fun to learn, to watch, and be like, hey, how are they doing that? We opened up a room the other night, and we had the room full, 8 people playing. It's just so amazing.
And that's the coolest thing, that you do the room and I can join on Xbox.
Yes, exactly.
You do the private room and I can just find it. It's a Rocket League room, not a Nintendo room.
Yes.
Why don't you play with bots?
We do. What do you mean?
Like, instead of playing against other players that are way better than you, why don't you just turn the computer to the level that you want?
Because originally it was, what we were doing was we were grabbing a team of 4 and we were just going in and playing people. We were just assuming that, because what happens is it starts off where it puts you against Nintendo players. But then if people start dropping out, it starts filling them with whatever players. And then that's when you're getting the Xbox or PC players that are coming in. Because the difference is, when it says, like when it's a Nintendo player, it has the Nintendo icon. Like, not the icon, but your avatar for Nintendo.
Yeah.
But when it's Xbox or PC, it says PSYNet. So it's Psyontics. And it's like, man, but it is... Regardless, it's just so much fun to just... Because here's the thing, too. You get better when you play against better people, honestly. Like, because it makes you left your game or try to play better. It gets frustrating when they just goal after goal after goal after goal. But if you get into those times... Like, we play times where it's me and Rybo and a couple other people, and the competition level starts to lift. And it's because we're now playing harder. And they might be thinking like, oh, this is easy, we're going to run right through them. And we've gone times where it's like 2-3 minutes and nobody scored on each other. And then, boom, they'll hit a fury and score 4 points within the next minute and they beat us. But it's been fun. It's been a blast. So I'm really happy to see crossplay working the way it is. I love it. I love the whole thing. So
I might pick it up while I'm here because I just brought my Switch. I didn't bring my Xbox down with me, so I might pick it up so I can jump into a couple matches with you guys.
Yeah,
so.
It's a blast. It's so good, man. It is so good. So
it was like in my top 5 last year, and honestly, like it seems to just like continue to climb up. It was I think nominated for one of the best ongoing games in the Game Awards, and absolutely, man, like this is a game of the generation type of thing. Like, this is the real deal. Rocket League is the game that if I'm nodding off to another game, which happened this week, I switch over to Rocket League and I fire myself back up again because like my whole body gets into it. Like it's actually like a physical exertion that happens when I like jump towards the ball. I'm like, did I get it? Like I actually tense up.
The thing is that when the game is sitting still, so before the match plays, it doesn't look that great. You could see some jankiness in it and stuff, but when the game starts and you start moving, it looks just as good as any other console. Like, you can't... It's moving so fast because it's running 60 frames per second. It just blurs, and it just looks amazing. It really does. So, hats off to them guys because they did a great job.
I think that Sony's going to buckle.
No,
I think Sony's going to buckle, and they're going to do crossplay.
It's not going to happen.
I'm crossing.
No, it's not going to happen.
It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen.
Hey, guys, you know what none of us are playing?
What's that?
Splatfest this weekend.
I did.
Oh, well.
I played last night.
I
didn't mention it because it was like... But I jumped in with... last night I had a Discord chat going with Jason Lacey, Dave Ray, Rybo.
Did you?
Yeah, it was like about 6 of us.
What was it this time? Like Snakes versus Planes or something?
No, it was Fantasy
versus
Planes.
Snakes versus Ladders.
Yeah. Fantasy versus sci-fi. So...
what team were you on?
We took Fantasy. All of us took Fantasy. But it was so good. We had Mew Mew there. She was playing with us for a while. Andrew, not Andrew Semicek, Andrew 6077 is his handle on Nintendo. But dude, it was so much fun. We just sat in there, and Rybo was playing in his stuff, but he was on chat with us and talking to us and stuff. Like, Discord, man, it is just awesome. I love Discord. So much fun.
Can't wait till it gets baked into the Switch.
If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Because I was sitting right here, had it going, and I was playing on the TV, and I was just chatting with them guys, and it it sounded perfect. Really did. Like, we were all doing different things, but it just sounded so good. So that is all. Thank you guys for listening to us on iTunes, DateSpace.com, over on Google Play, all that good stuff wherever you can. Watching us on the YouTubes. You do want to watch it today. Sean's got all kind of ridiculous antics going on today.
What? What did I do?
You're like moving around. One point, you're putting the thing up and shooting down at the ground. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Well, to be honest with you, my phone was running out. I went through 100% of battery. This is my work phone, and I ran out of battery. I had to go walk. I'm plugged into the outlet down here.
Oh Jesus!
I had to go plug
Look
in.
at him.
You're stealing someone's electricity.
I am. Well, the whole ballpark. I had to tap in. This is Canada.
I'm waiting for security to come over and throw him out. Like, dude,
did.
you gotta leave. You gotta get out of here.
Security did come by. He's like, "Oh, you're just on your phone." I'm like, "I'm just on my phone." I showed. That's when I turned around like this, and I showed him I was on a Skype call.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hey, you're on a podcast."
Yeah.
He's like, and then he left.
Yeah, that's funny. Anyway,
you don't even know the baddies I've had to ward away. I've had dogs come after me. I've had these weird pigeon things. I don't know, Bobby. It's been an experience.
Follow us on the Twitters. You can follow Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. Follow Toby over there at Toby's_take. Follow me at Nintendo Gurus.
I've been getting a lot of tweets lately.
Have you?
Yeah.
That's good. People listened. Keep tweeting at Toby. Make him feel wanted. Because he feels like he's like the fifth Beatle over there. He doesn't. He gets no love at all. Feels like he's Ringo Starr over there. So that is all. Peace out, Preston.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye. Oh. Bye.